Hello and welcome to the Tapestry. Triadic personality is the concept of this channel and website. It is what all of our personality models are based on. This will be a relatively short overview with examples going over introversion versus extroversion, individualism versus collectivism, and inner workings versus outer framings. These are vital questions that should be answered by people who make or use personality models. Models are maps. What reality are we mapping? Is the map appropriate for the territory? Without answering these questions, mixing facets that don't belong, or missing facets that do, you will keep stretching models to make them fit or running into walls between them. My answer to these questions is triadic personality. Our minds have three auxiliary faculties: pulsion, affect, and cognition. Personality is the fingerprint of our central psyche, at its basest or lowest level, with inherently irrational tendencies. My first proposition about personality is that our personality is triadic, composed of three specializations in each triadic faculty. These are discrete, so there should be three separate personality models or maps that do not overlap. So although there might be correlations, each can be assessed independently in any combination. Language is then clarified within each model. Words have multiple meanings, especially in personality. This context provides a clearer metric to stay internally consistent and test what is or should be meant. Along the triad, we will clarify how internal versus external differs within each model. It might be easier to think about someone who is all internal or all external. However, for this example, cross combinations are very common, so it should be fairly easy to recognize that we are discussing real people, and to see how triadic personality can include the fullest range of real personalities. Pulsions are mental movers with force and direction. At the base level of personality, pulsion includes instincts and drives. Traits are quantities or amounts on a spectrum. Points closer to center, like A and B, are more similar to each other than to extreme points, like C. Everyone is a mix of both. Traits are how pulsion is personalized and should be modeled. Pulsive traits directly initiate behaviors and lifestyles, what we are oriented towards doing. Introversion or extroversion mean to turn inwards or outwards. These are perceptual orientations towards the internal or external environments. The uninhibited tendency of an introvert, someone with predominant introversion, is to spend the majority of their life in their internal world, vice versa for extroverts. There is a particular false conflation of introversion with intellect. Although ideation is introverted, this ignores how much of the intellectual process needs to be externalized for it to go anywhere. Living in reality, actually doing anything, is extroverted, and that includes external intellectual activity. Introversion and extroversion are simple behavioral reflexes. Neither specifies what you are interested in within these worlds or how you engage with them. There are introverted and extroverted versions of most things. Internal dialogues are introverted, conversation is extroverted. Imagination is introverted, observation is extroverted. Projected visualization mixes both. Affects are mental indicators with qualia and positive or negative valence. At the base level of personality, affect includes emotions, attitudes, and moods. Tempers are degrees of preference or precedence, creating angles or clusters with differing views on either side. Points on the same side are more similar. Tempers are how affect is personalized and should be modeled. Affective tempers directly initiate feelings and worldviews, why we have different attitudes, attachments, and priorities. In affect, the internal versus external is no longer simply about perceived environment, but is colored by meaning. It is about internal or external identification and belonging. Individualistic or self-interested tempers are attached to what separates one from another and is unto oneself. Collectivistic or other interested tempers are attached to what intersects one with another and comes together. This tends into antisocial dependency and niche conformity versus prosocial dependency and loose conformity. This is a major factor in how we feel about or view different entities like things versus people. Individualistic or self-interested tempers tend to, not always but very often, like the idea of introversion and overestimate how introverted they are because of the your own world framing apart from others, the asocial or antisocial stereotypes, and then more disagreeable interest in superior depth of insight or intellect. There's also an interest in introverts being atypical or special. None of this is actual introversion. There are people interested introverts. Look at their overall tendencies. They are not an extrovert for being interactive or talkative with people specifically. They will still be even more oriented towards ruminating about people in their internal world. Do not miss the forest for the trees. Do not justify personality on minutia. Cognitions are mental programs with formatting and operations. At the base level of personality, cognition includes memory and mental modeling. Types are categories. Different categories may share elements and can be grouped in different ways, but each is still distinctive. Types are how cognition is personalized and should be modeled. Cognitive types directly initiate thoughts and mental processes, how we think about things. Internal versus external in cognitive type is about the structure or frameworking of cognitive activity. Outer-framing types are not more likely to act in the external world, that is extroversion. Inner-framing types are not deeper in the sense of being more complex or insightful. As much as outer-framing is shallow, inner-working is narrow. Both are reductions and simplifications. Inner workings are the particular, precise depths of thought, perceptual, analytical, faceted, and principled nuances. Outer framings are the general, accurate breadths of thought, material, referential, manifested, or crossed variegations. For example, to get to know someone, you could ask elaborating questions, clarifying specific aspects, or you could ask expanding questions, integrating the bigger picture. Too much of one becomes nitpicking or sweeping. Both are required to have a meaningful conversation. Point being, they only differ in frameworking. Both can be in extroverted communication and from interest in another person. They are equally cognitive and about thought processing, ways of knowing and understanding, like all facets of type. So that is triadic personality. Full disclaimer, I've hardly worked on personality the past few years and went on a massive detour from type in 2020 with tempers, so I am a bit rusty on my own ideas. That said, please ask any questions and I will try to answer them. You can also read more on my website. Let me know if there's anything you'd like to hear more about first.